Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Natoya and I'm here to help you start traveling the world. So in this video guys, I'm going to show you how to find somewhere budget friendly and affordable to stay in Paris. So accommodation is the second most expensive part of booking a trip, the flight being the first one. So knowing how to find somewhere affordable is like so important. So this video guys is a part of my how to budget travel Paris video series. It's just a ton of videos to help you budget travel Paris. I'm even going to talk about traveling Paris Disney World. So be sure to check that playlist out in the description and above. And also don't forget to download my trip planning workbook in the description to help you plan your trip to Paris on a budget. It goes with my Paris playlist. So guys, I visited Paris 4 times from 5 days to 30 days. And I've picked up a lot about booking an accommodation in Paris. So this video is going to be a step-by-step guide to help you, I'm sharing everything I know, to help you book somewhere affordable, safe, just overall awesome, and to give you that Parisian dream trip you've always wanted. So be sure to watch until the end of the video to get all the details. So first of all, before we even begin to talk about accommodations, let's talk about when is the best time to visit Paris so you can get them good deals, to save money. The best time to visit Paris is during off season. Of course, if you watch any one of my videos, you know that I stress to become an off-season traveler, travel off-season, skip the summertime, skip the different holidays, just go off-season. And off-season would be the fall, the winter, and early spring. In my opinion, the best time to visit Paris, not just for budget accommodations, but just for cheap prices in general, is the fall. I always visit Paris in the early fall, like the end of September. This time I visited Paris in the middle of August. But I find that it's the best time to visit Paris. Get the best deals. And I've noticed that a lot of Parisians, they tend to go on vacations in the end of August, the beginning of September. So there's a lot more Airbnb properties for you to book, and you can just get some better deals on Airbnbs if that's what you want. We're going to talk about that in a second. So let's quickly talk about the importance of picking the right neighborhood in Paris when finding an accommodation, and it's very simple. Certain areas, accommodation is more expensive. Of course, near the Eiffel Tower, it's crazy expensive because everyone wants to stay near the Eiffel Tower and have views to the Eiffel Tower and just be walking distance from the Eiffel Tower. Of course, it's gonna be crazy expensive. So when finding somewhere to stay in Paris, just know that certain areas will be crazy expensive, and I'm sorry to say, those might be the areas that you want to stay in. But don't worry, I've fallen in love with the neighborhood of Montmartre, and it doesn't have the Eiffel Tower, it doesn't have the Seine River, nor the Louvre, but it's still a fabulous neighborhood. So do your research on the best neighborhood for you based on what you want to do. But I do want to know, it doesn't matter what neighborhood you stay in Paris, because of the awesome metro system, you can quickly and easily get to any corners of Paris. And it's so cheap, it's just at 190 euros to get to any area in Paris. So don't worry about that. But it is pretty convenient to be able to walk to certain places in Paris that you love because you're in that neighborhood. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the type of accommodations you have and some pros and cons. So of course you have the 3 main types of accommodation: hotel, apartment rental, and hostels. So let's quickly talk about hostels. You can of course stay at a hostel in Paris, but I've said this before in this series, I don't really recommend you stay in a hostel in Paris unless you want to have that social experience and just be around other travelers. But I don't recommend it, particularly now because of COVID, but also I feel like it's not really worth the money to pay like $30 to $40 or $25 to $40 to rent a room with like 50,000 people. I just don't think it's worth the money when you can book an Airbnb or a hotel for like $20 or $30 more. But that's all up to you. It's based on your decision and your travel style and what your needs are. So if you want to book a hostel, you can go to hostelworld.com. So let's jump right into my computer and we can look at some properties together. See, we'll type in Paris. And let's say we're going off season, right? So let's say you want to book a hostel for, let's say 3 or 4 days, and it's just one person. Oh, I thought I put Paris. So guys, this is why I don't recommend booking a hostel in Paris, because look at these prices. This is ridiculous. And then there's no dorms available. So dorms are $34. Let's check this one out. Dorms are $29 for this one, $38, $27. Let's check this one out. So for this 4-bed dorm for what, the 3 days we selected, it's $162 per night. Yeah, this is expensive. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so I do not recommend hostels, but they're having a really good time here. So if that's your jam, go ahead and book a hostel. But it seems because of COVID, a lot of these properties are not as cheap as I thought they would be. So guys, you see what you're getting with a hostel. Be sure to go to hostelworld.com and look more in depth of the properties available, because I just kind of skimmed through. So guys, if you're really on a budget and you really wanted to stay in a hostel because it's supposed to be cheaper, I would recommend you look into house sitting. I'm not an expert on house sitting at all, but there's so many people doing house sitting and I want to get into house sitting. So I recommend looking into house sitting, and I recommend looking into workaways where you can live with a family in Paris and just do some kind of work with them. Like it can be anything from cleaning or teaching their kid English. It's just whatever they need you to do. So if you're really on a tight budget, check out those 2 things. But you have 2 options available that I recommend is an Airbnb, apartment rental, and a hotel. So let's talk about finding a hotel in Paris. So my first time staying in a hotel in Paris was last month, and I was really surprised because I feel like we got an amazing deal. The hotel was amazing. It wasn't in Montmartre, but it was like near Montmartre. I can't even remember the exact location. But we ended up paying $67 a night per room that came with breakfast. And we had like a little mini fridge with a ton of different drinks. The staff was amazing. It was just really like the $67 was just nothing compared to what we got. I'll insert a video here of the room. So my point is, guys, you can get a really good deal for a hotel in Paris. I did say I highly recommend Airbnb, but if booking a hotel is what you really, really want, you can get some amazing deals. I recommend you use hotelscombined.com to book a hotel in Paris. When I was doing my research, I found that per night, you can get a pretty decent hotel from 70 to about 80 euros. And the hotel rooms in Paris usually just have 1 bed in the room. So if you're traveling with a friend, just know that you'll probably have to book 2 rooms because the hotel rooms in Paris tend to be smaller. So let's just quickly go to hotels.com and we can see what's available. So you type in Paris right here, Paris, and let's not do Thanksgiving. I mean, it's not Thanksgiving in Paris, but you know. Oops, we're gonna do the 15th to the 18th. We're gonna do that. So what we can do is we can filter it to, I think I just filtered it to $100. And yeah, you can look through it. These are pretty decent budget hotels. I do have to know budget, they're budget hotels. Yeah, so here are some. This one is 87. I wouldn't book that one, but you can look through it. And I'm pretty sure you can find a hotel here for 75 to 80 euros. This is pretty good. Right here. Yeah, this is also pretty good too. It's 58 euros. I mean, $58. So guys, use hotels.com to find super cheap hotels. Make sure you filter it for your price and an amount of stars. And of course, you filter it to the neighborhood you want to stay in. So guys, I've said it before, I highly recommend that you book an Airbnb when staying in Paris. I just feel like you get a better value for your money and you get more space. Chances are you're probably not traveling by yourself. You get more space when you book a hotel. When you book an Airbnb, because obviously there's a separate bedroom and a living room and there's just more space unless you book a studio. But generally speaking, there's a living room and a bedroom separating things so that you don't go crazy when traveling. And like I said in my video, how much this costs to travel to Paris, I'll link it above and below. I talked a little bit about the fact that many of the Airbnbs in Paris tend to be someone's actual home compared to many of the Airbnbs I stayed at all over the world. It tends to be owned by a company or a group of people, or maybe one person that's managing a ton of other Airbnbs. So it doesn't have that personal touch, and you don't have access to one person that actually lives there where you can get all their opinions, their recommendations, and suggestions on things to do in their neighborhood. So I said all that to say, what I love about the apartments in Paris is that it's usually someone's actual apartment, a French person's actual apartment, and you have access to them and you can ask them questions, get suggestions, and just get some help in Paris. So in Paris, I've booked an entire apartment in Paris. I booked a room in Paris. I rented just a room in Paris. We rented a house in Paris, actually right outside of Paris, like literally 5-minute walk outside of Paris, the rings of Paris. So I've stayed in many different situations in Paris. I will link in the description some of the links to places that I recommend staying in Paris, including that hotel. So let's jump right into the computer and we can look at some examples of properties of Airbnbs in Paris. So of course, let's type in Paris. And we are going off season. We are going in November, the 16th to the 19th. It's gonna be, let's say it's 2 people. Let's see what comes up. All right, so say you're just willing to stay anywhere, you just put the filter on entire place. And I am pretty sure you can find a decent Airbnb for under $80 a night. So let's look at some places. This one here looks pretty cool. Gets the job done. So here's an example of an Airbnb right outside the rings of Paris, and it's not too far. So consider that if you're on a tight budget. Looks pretty good actually. So I won't get into it too much, but if you need some help with booking your first Airbnb, I made a complete tutorial on how to do that. I'll link it above and below. But what you would do is you would go through the different searches, pick at least 3 properties, read the reviews, make sure you have all the amenities that you need, make sure it's above a 4.8. Again, read the reviews thoroughly, make sure it's in the right neighborhood, and of course, make sure you have easy access to the activities you want to do in Paris. Let's quickly talk about some general tips when picking an Airbnb in Paris. Number 1, don't try to get a deal. I learned this the hard way. So even after booking so many Airbnbs since I started traveling many years ago, even after doing that, I made the mistake of booking an Airbnb in Paris with no reviews. And what happened? I arrived at the Airbnb to find that there was a mouse doodle all over the kitchen. Luckily, we contacted Airbnb. Not only did we get a full refund, we also got a $1,600 credit. So make sure when you're booking an Airbnb, read those reviews. They're essential. Don't try to get a deal. When I say don't try to get a deal, if it's too good to be true, it's not true. The next tip is just remember that Paris is a pretty grungy city. So don't be surprised if your apartment building, there might be like spray paint or writing or a big pile of trash in front of it. That's just Paris. That's just really how Paris is. It's a grungy city. So just don't be surprised by the look of Paris. The next thing is double check that your Airbnb has heating and AC. I don't know if this is a European thing because I found this all over Europe, from Italy to Croatia to the Netherlands. I don't know if it's a European thing, but some places do not offer heating and air conditioning certain times of the year. It seems like it has to be crazy hot or crazy cold for them to offer it. So just make sure under the list of amenities, either heating or AC is available. The next thing is, I don't know if this is a concern for you, but if you're traveling with someone older, just make sure that you don't have to walk up like a whole long flight of stairs. A lot of the apartment buildings in Paris It does have an elevator, but most people, they don't use it. It's not like customary to use the elevators. They're like tiny, tiny elevators. And then other places, they simply just do not have an elevator. So if you're traveling with someone older or someone with some kind of disability, just be sure to check in with your Airbnb to see if there's lots of flight of stairs or if there's an elevator. And then also make sure you see that they have amenities, like a TV, just extra things like a TV or a washer that you might just assume that they have. Just make sure that they have those things, or even a iron, hair dryer. Don't just assume that they have those things, especially available to you. Just make sure they have it under the list of amenities. So guys, I really hope this video helped you to find the perfect place in Paris and on a budget. Be sure to comment in the description if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer. It doesn't just have to be about finding an accommodation in Paris. It could just be about any budget traveling question you have about Paris. Make sure you like this video, hit the subscription button and the bell notification to be notified whenever I make a new video. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.